Hi guys, welcome back to another sewing tutorial with Chioma Stitches. My name is Chioma. So today we're going to be making this beautiful two-piece I am wearing in the video, and it was super easy to make, and if you follow the process you're going to get exactly the same results. Also, don't forget to check the links in the description box so you can check out our other sewing tutorials that I'm going to be leaving the link in the description box. Alright, and when you try yours, also do well to share. You can share it on our Facebook group at Creative Tailoring and Styling, and you can also tag me, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Chioma Stitches. Alright guys, so let's get straight into the sewing process of this, and also don't forget to watch to the end of the video, okay, and give this video a thumbs up. This is an already drafted pattern. To avoid making this video very long, I had to draft the trouser pattern first, and I'm going to be leaving the link in the description box. The link to drafting this pattern, I'm going to leave it in the description box, so you go ahead and check it so that this video doesn't go too long. I no longer want my videos to be getting to 1 hour. I try to break the video so that it will save time. All right, this trouser is a free trouser. It's not fitted, just a bit fitted around the hip area, so that's how you have just the sewing allowance around the hip area, but all the way down I have up to 2 inches allowance when you get down here. I've cut out the trouser part, but I'm going to be drafting the shirt on camera. I'm going to be drafting the shirt right now on camera, and that one we do not have to use an already drafted pattern. Okay, as I've cut out the pattern, I use, if you see the way I cut it out, the edge of the fabric, the part that will not fray, that's where I made sure to be at the hem. All right, so this is because this selvage part of the fabric is not going to fray, and to make the finishing very neat, I'll be using hemming gum to iron it down. All right, and I'm going to use hemming gum to iron to steam it down so it will come out looking clean like this when we are done. Let me set this aside so that we can draft the shirt part of this two-piece we are making. So to cut the shirt part of this dress, I'll also advise you to do well to iron your fabric before you cut it so that your cuttings will be more accurate. I am a bit too lazy to do this right now, but I have ironed the trouser parts that we've cut already. Okay, so for the shirt length, we want this shirt to be quite long, so I'm going to make the length as long as, say, 27 inches. 26 inches, so I'm going to have to use 1 inch to hem it, and so I have 27 inches here. So the shoulder measurement is 7.5 inches, 1 inch shoulder slanting, and then to get your armhole, you divide your bust measurement by 6 and add 1.5. all right, and so I have I'm marking at 7.8 for this armhole. Okay, I'm using freehand for this. I'm just going to go ahead and carve out the armhole. The bust measurement of this person is 40 inches. 40 divided by 4 is 10. I'm going to mark at 10 here, and we want it to be free, so I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch for the seam allowance, because I'm going to be sewing with only 1 inch. Okay, and then you put the hip measurement around here, because the shoulder to the hip is about 24 inches. The hip we're working with is 40 inches, so I have 10 inches, and because I said I want it to be free, I'm going to be making it almost 12 inches. So now I'm going to connect these two lines. Okay, and then I'm going to come up here by, say, because I'm going to be needing like 1 inch for hem, so I'm going to come up, say, 7 inches or 7.5 inches. I'm going to go ahead and create a curve around the here. Okay, now this depends on the effect you want your dress to have. If you don't want it to have this kind of effect, this part is not needed. But if you don't mind having this kind of effect where this bit is a bit curved in, then this is what you are doing. And then for the neckline, we're going to be using 3 inches. So 3 inches here, and I'm using half of an inch for this back part. So this is the back piece, and we're going to be using the back piece to cut out the front piece. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it down and cut out this pattern and use it to cut out the front piece. Also, I'm going to be connecting the 1 inch shoulder slanting to the neckline. Okay, so now I've placed the back piece we've cut out in front of the front piece, and the front piece is 2.5 inches wider than the back piece, and that's because we're going to be using 2 inches to fold the front piece. That's where the button holes and the button hold. Okay, we're going to be folding with 2 inches, and the other half of an inch will be the difference where the front piece is going to lap each other when you button the buttons. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out this pattern, and meanwhile, I'm going to be marking out the neckline for the front. So for the front neckline, I am going to come down by 3 inches as well. So the front neckline is going to be 3 inches by 3 inches. Okay. So from here we have 3 inches, and I'm just going to go ahead and curve the line. So I can cut out this pattern. Then I'm going to go ahead and open here, just marking this to show where the back part of the dress is. Okay, so now I am going to go ahead and iron. Although I'm supposed to have ironed the fabric before cutting on my pattern, but I can say I'm in the clear because the dress I'm making is quite free. So even if the measurement goes a little bit more than what I cut, it will still be perfect. But if you are cutting with a fabric that is squeezed, do well to iron your fabric out before you cut out your patterns. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out the sleeve measurements for this dress, and then I'm going to go ahead and hem it. I am going to hem the edge of the fabric. Okay, so let's cut out the sleeve of this shirt. So to cut out the sleeve, the full length of this sleeve is supposed to be 22 inches, but what I have here is 19 inches, and this is because I am going to be adding a cuff to it. Okay, so the cuff is going to be about 4 inches. All right, so you divide your bust measurement obviously by 12 to get the line for curving your sleeve. So I'm working with 3 inches for this person. Okay, and then you divide the bust again by 6 and add 1.5 inches. So I'm going to be having 7.6 here, and I'm going to mark a slanted line across this rectangle to give me this. And then I'm going to come in here and divide this slanted line in half. So I just fold my tape in half to get the center. So from here I am going to come up by half of an inch, and I'll come down by half of an inch. You can decide to work with 0.25 or 0.3 instead of 0.5. Okay, and I'm going to, for this up one is going to be the up line, the up 0.5 is going to be for the back part of the sleeve, while the down part is going to indicate the front part of the sleeve. So I'm just going to take my ruler and curve this line to the edge of the line, and I also curve the under one as well the same way, and I'm going to reverse my ruler to connect this to the end of the line. Oh, my chalk is making a mess. So I'm just going to use this chalk to indicate this to try so the line will be clearer. Okay, so here, and then from here you're going to add your allowance. Okay, from here I can add my 1 inch allowance. I'm going to use the end of the fabric, whatever is left here, and then you mark out your shoulder to the elbow to your bicep. Just keep marking them so that you can know how to apportion the measurements of the body of the sleeve. Okay, so I have 8 inches, 13 inches, 22 inches. So for this 8 inches I have 12, and for this I have 11. So I'm supposed to have 12 here, which is 6 inches, and I'm supposed to have 11 here, that's 5.5 inches. But because the sleeve is also going to be equally as free as the body of the shirt, I'm just going to be adding excess allowance. I can add, say, 2 inches to this, or 1.8 inches so that it will be very free. And I'm going to mark this exact what I have here to the down part. So I'm going to transfer what I have here to the down part. So I have like 7.8. I'm going to mark it out here. So I'm just going to connect these lines. So when I cut out my pattern, I'm going to be adding half of an inch at the top here. This is because the half of an inch will be the sewing allowance. By the way, I'm going to be leaving a link to our sleeve drafting in the description box so that you can see a proper way of drafting your sleeve. I'm going to be leaving the link in the description box. That one was drafted on a paper, so you can see all the marking and all the do's and don'ts in that video. Okay, this one I am just drafting it roughly on top of the fabric, which is looking messy and is not very clear. So I'm going to leave the link in the description box. Do well to check it out so that you can see how we drafted a basic sleeve. Okay, so also don't forget to pin your fabric if you're working with a fabric that's quite slippery like mine. And if you noticed, I ironed this one before drafting the sleeve part. I ironed this part of the fabric. This is the other part here to be ironed because I don't need this one right now. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my pattern. Okay, so I'm going to open this up so I can cut out the difference between the front and the back part of the sleeve. So I'm going to be taking out the upper part, the one that indicates the back. So here will now be the back and this will be the front. So this is the front part of the sleeve and this is the back part of the sleeve. And of course I have my markings to indicate this, so I can just mark on the other side of the sleeve to indicate where the front part of the sleeve is. So we have the sleeve, and then we're going to cut out the cuff of the sleeve. So what I have here is about 7.8 inches, so we're looking at 15 inches. But for the cuff, when you are now cutting out the cuff, you can now use the actual measurement of the cuff to cut out this one. All right, so I have 4.5 inches here. Let me just indicate 4.5 because what I need is 4 inches. And then for this cuff, the cuff is 8 inches, which is folded in half will be 4 inches. So I'm going to be adding 1 inch for the sewing, and then we'll be needing half an inch for the buttons, so that the cuff will overlap each other. All right, so I have a total of 5.5 inches. So I'm going to cut this out, and I'm cutting 2 of these. And so for the sleeve, I'm going to start with the sleeve. I'm going to create an opening for the cuff. I'm going to create an opening that is going to connect from the main sleeve to the cuff of the sleeve. And this opening is going to be towards the back part of the sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to take out my sewing allowance 1 inch, and I'm going to come in because there will be pleats. I'm going to be pleating this a bit here, so I just pleated it just once, and then I can now measure up to 3 inches from the pleat, so I can mark out where the opening is going to be. Okay, so let me extend this opening to about 3.5 inches, so that it will be 3 inches in all, because half an inch will be used for joining the sleeve to the cuff. So I'm going to be opening this place with a straight line. I'm just going to cut it open, and here is the magic about it. Let me create another line beside it, half of an inch on both sides of the opening. Okay, and then I'm going to come up from this end, from the end here. I'm going to come up by another half of an inch, and I'm going to create another line, slanted line, in this small box. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I am going to cut here. When I cut here, when I get to this point, to this half inch, I am going to now cut into the slanted parts. All right, to this side and to this side. So the reason for this is so that when I am sewing it, I am going to be piping here. I'm going to be using a bias. I'm going to use the fabric as a bias to here, sew here, and when you turn it this way, you can sew it straight. It makes it easy for you to attach your bias if you cut your pattern this way. Okay, and now to sew this opening, okay, to use the bias to sew this opening closed, I have my pieces cut out. So you take your measurement and know the length. So I have 7 inches here, so I cut out 8 inches just to be on the safe side. All right, so what I'm going to do now is take my bias strip, all right, and you're going to fold it in, cut off an inch like so, fold it in like so, put it down here, fold this once, and then fold it the second time on the pattern, on the fabric, to cover it like so, and then you're going to sew it. So let me pin it down to show us what this will look like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew it on it to cover the line all the way to the end. And now I'm cutting out the straps of fabric I'm going to be using for the band of the trouser part of this two piece. And so you will decide how wide you want yours to be, and as for this, I am aiming as 2 inches, so I'm marking out 2.5 inches so that half of an inch will be to join the band to the trouser part, and then the other 2 inches will be the size of our band. Okay, so I'm indicating where the front and the back is by marking out chalk on it. Now we're going to cut out the pockets. Okay, so I'm going to be using the trouser, the front piece of the trouser as a pattern to mark out my pockets. Okay, this is because we've already added allowance to the trouser, so we want the allowance to reflect on the pocket. So I use the front piece of the trouser as my pattern to draft out the pocket I'm going to be using for this trouser. Alright, so after cutting it out, I cut it open, and I also use my chalk to indicate which part of the fabric is the front and the back before we start attaching it to the trouser pattern. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead to iron this. You can see how clean it's looking now. It's looking better than when we hadn't ironed it. And also I have hemmed it. I've hemmed the edges, okay, and this is it. So now I'm going to go ahead and hem here with 1 inch folded twice. For the buttonhole, I'm going to go ahead and hem it like so, using 1 inch folded twice. I'm going to do the same thing for here for the two front pieces. This is the back piece, also neatly ironed, and this is the hem. I have hemmed it. I'm yet to iron here, so it's going to stay straight when you iron it, as you can see. All right, and this is the sleeve. I have gone ahead to I've attached this to the sleeve. Okay, I've sewn the opening with the method I just showed us. I sewed it, and this is the other sleeve. I have done the same thing, and I have also gone ahead to hem part of it. Okay, so after sewing it, you can go ahead and hold it down and sew like this. All right, so let me show this. So after sewing this part like so, after using the bias to sew it, you're going to fold it into the equal parts, and you are going to, on the wrong side, you are going to make a mark on it. You're just going to sew a slanted line to give it like a V shape so that this place can be covered up like so. So let me turn it inside out and show you what I'm talking about. So this is it. So this is how it looks from here. Okay, and this is the side, the back, the seam line. Okay, so now that I have joined here to this point, it is time for me to attach the cuff. Okay, so let's start with this one. All right, so I'm going to sew it on one side first. So what I'm going to do is take this. Now on this side that is longer, more like the part before, depend on what direction you want your the press button, because I like to put press button on this. Okay, you can use press button on the cuff, or you can use buttons. anyone you choose. Okay, so I might just use buttons as well and create buttonholes. So depending on the direction you want your buttonholes to go, that is how you are going to place this. Okay, so for here I'm going to mark out my half an inch for hem. I'm going to mark half an inch for hem, and then 1 inch for the space for the buttons. Okay, so I have 1.5 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and place this exactly at that 1.5 inch, and I'm going to pin it. Now we need a space of 8 inches. Remember that the cuff is going to be 8 inches, so I'm going to measure from there and measure 8 inches. This is 8 inches here, so I'm going to just pin it. And now I'm going to take the other end of the sleeve, place it at the 8 inches. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it down. So inside these 8 inches, the fabric that's left from the sleeve, I'm just going to make pleats, random pleats. I'm just going to make random pleats until the sleeve is the same length with the cuff. Okay. Okay, so here, so I've pleated them and I've pinned them, then I'm going to go ahead and sew. Go ahead and sew on it so that when you are done, you have something like this. So I'm going ahead to sew it. I'm going ahead to sew it. Look at the pins, and this is what we have. Look at this part, like so. So next we are going to try and fold it in and fold here. Okay, to do that, this is what I like to do. I'll fold it back the way I sewed it. Now I'm going to go ahead and lock here up and lock here up, taking out the excess, whatever excess that you don't need, you take it out by locking it. Okay, so I'm going to sew from here exactly where this one starts. I'm going to lock here, sew here, and then I'm going to fold it in like so and start sewing it while the sleeve is inside. Sew it here, sew to this point, turn it this way, move this one back here, and then also do the same thing here and sew it like this, exactly on the same line where you sewed it before. This helps to give you neat finishing. Okay, let me show you this one. Look at this one, I have done it on this one. So I sew this place, sew here, and then look at here. Now I can turn it inside out with this opening that's left. You see what I'm doing? Look at how this looks. It looks clean now because of the way I concealed the sewing. Can you see this? I'm going to go ahead and iron this properly so it will come out looking clean like this. So this is it. So this is the inside, and here is the opening where I passed it all through. So I'm going to go ahead, and now you can decide to also, if you don't want any seam line to show here, what you can do is take your hemming gum, place it in here, and lock this place together. That is a way to conceal it, and you don't need to sew. Or you can also tack it. You can also tack it, or after putting the hemming gum, you can also tack it, just to double up it. Or the method I'm going to be using, you can just go ahead and top stitch on this all the way to the end to make it look even neater and finer. But first you have to iron it before you do that. So I'm going to do that and the sleeve, and then we'll set the sleeve aside to work on the bodies. The trouser part, this is it. The hem, I've also used the hemming gum to conceal it, you can see. So now there's no need to sew the down part, it's neatly concealed with hemming gum. Okay, looking so clean. So I'm going to go ahead and start sewing it. Go ahead and sew with 1/2 inch all the way. And then for the front piece, I also went ahead to do the same thing on the front piece, as you can see. But for the front piece, now I am going to attach the pockets. I'm going to take out one of the pockets, and this is it. You place it on it. You place it on the. It's supposed to match because I use the lower bodies, the trouser parts, to cut out these pockets. Okay, and because it's the same color, it might not be showing very well. So you go ahead and place it on it, and you sew. Now you can decide how wide you want the opening to be. Okay, so I don't mind 7 inches, so I'm going to come here and mark 7 inches down. I'm going to go in and mark 2 inches. Okay, around these 2 inches I'm going to come here as well and mark out 2 inches here. So I'm going to connect this line like so. So what I'm going to do now is sew here, and here I am curving here, making a little curve here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew here like so, and I will sew the same thing on this other pocket as well. Okay, so here I have ironed out the sleeve. I've completed the sleeve, the cuff. As you can see, I top stitched it at the end, very close to the end, and I've ironed it out. Look at how clean it looks. Here is the second one. So I'm going to set this aside. And then here is the upper body, the bodies of the shirts that I have also ironed it neatly, as you can see. So this part is going to have the buttonholes, and this part is going to hold the buttons. Alright? And this is the back piece. I have also ironed the back piece, and now it's laying flat. Okay, unlike when it was popping up like that. So now what I'm going to do is join the shoulders, join it shoulder to shoulder. I'm going to go ahead and join the shoulders, and so for the trouser part, I have attached the pockets. As you can see, I've sewn this side of the pocket. What I'm going to do now is trim out part of it very close to the seam line. I'm going to trim this out, and I'm going to go ahead and top stitch here. I'll top stitch it on the pocket bag. I'll top stitch it on the pocket bag, and then I'm going to place the pocket cover on it, and I'm going to sew it together. Alright, just like I've done here. This is it. So this is it for this part. I have gone ahead to do it, top stitch it on the pocket bag, and I have attached the pocket cover, as you can see here. So when you turn it this way, this is what you have. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and join the crotch and sew the crotch of the trouser. I'm going to go ahead and sew the crotch. And so now that I've joined the shoulders of the upper part, I am going to go ahead and attach the sleeve. When we're drafting the sleeve, I showed you the difference between the front and the back. So I'm going to place the part that is supposed to be at the front. I'm just going to join it at the shoulder joining. I'm going to place it at the shoulder joining, and I will join the sleeve. Okay. And then for the trouser part, I've also gone ahead to join the crotch for the front part, and I've completed the pocket for the other side. Now we're going to go ahead and sew the band of the trouser. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and take it apart and take one piece, the one for the front, one for the back. I'm going to take one piece and fold it to the right side. Okay, and when I am attaching it to the trouser, I am going to be sewing, I'm going to be pleating part of the trouser, the excess part, to match the band, because I already took the measurement of the band, and that's the exact measurement I need for the waist plus sewing allowance. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew it now. So I have sewn the band, as you can see. I just ran a straight stitch here. I'm going to weave it to keep it clean. So now, as you can see, I've pinned it down, and I want to sew the sides. Okay, I'm going to be adding a zipper to this. Also note that you have to have your matching zipper for this. I'm going to add a zipper from here all the way to say here. Okay, the zip is going to be stopping somewhere around here. So I'm going to go ahead and sew with 1 inch all the way down, and sew here 1 inch all the way down, and also sew the crotch line. Okay, I've attached the sleeve, and it's time to attach the collar, to sew the collar. And so here is the sleeve. I've attached it to the bodies, and so what I did was take my tape and measure the neckline, okay, from one end to the other, and I got 17. Okay, that's for the collar. And so I've cut out the collar. This is going to be the one that's going to be on the down part, that's like the bishop collar. This is going to be the one that's going to have the cape. Okay, so I fold it in half like so, and I am going to be taking out part of it to give it that shape that the collar has. So I'm going to be slanting it like so, and I'll take out at least 1 inch from the down part like this. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and sew here. I'm going to sew here with half of an inch, sew here with half of an inch, and turn it inside out. Meanwhile, this one I'm going to cut it open. Okay, here I've gone ahead to sew it, you can see. And so now I'm going to just get the middle. I'm going to pin this down, and I'll open up this one, and I'm going to place this here like so, and I'll place this one on top of it, and I'm going to go ahead and sew with 1/2 inch straight, and I'll sew it and curve it down here, leaving small opening here that I'll use to attach this bishop part to the bodice. So I'm going to sew from here like so, making just little curves around here. Right? Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew it. As you can see, just cutting out this part so that it will lap properly when I open it up. So this is it. When you iron this, it's going to come out looking even neater. It will relax better. I'm going to take this part, and I'm going to go ahead and sew it. So I'm going to sew it first on one side. I'm going to go ahead and sew it first on one side, then I'm going to turn it the other way and top stitch it. And so here I have sewn the collar to the upper bodice. Okay, let me turn it to the right side so that you see how it looks here. Okay, so look at it. You're going to go ahead and iron this, and it will come out looking very, very clean. So next I'm going to do is sew the side. I'm going to go ahead and join the side, starting from where I stopped on the sleeve. I'm going to sew straight to the end and do the same thing on the other side as well. And then I'll create the buttonholes and tack the button, and this shirt will be ready. And so guys, if at this point you have not subscribed to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Also share this video so that this community can grow. Also check out the first part of this video where we started the sewing, and don't forget to also check out the link in the description box for the drafting of the trouser. And so here's the trouser part. We are done sewing the trouser part. I've attached the zipper and added a zipper pocket so that the pocket will not come off. We have videos on this channel on how to sew the zipper and how to make a pocket for the zipper to protect the zipper. And so I'm going to go ahead and iron this, and next you see it will be on the mannequin. Don't forget to also make your work very neat by using your overlocking machine to weave the inside to keep it clean, alright? And iron neatly, because ironing helps to give you a neat finished work. Don't forget to try yours, and I would like to see yours. Like I always say, you can share them with us on Facebook. So see you guys on my next sewing tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe and share. Bye.